please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, nearly 2 years after he was ousted from Tata Sons, the Company Law Tribunal has handed another setback for Cyrus Mistry. The NCLT has ruled that the board of Tata Sons was competent to dismiss Mistry, who was then the executive chairman of the company. The tribunal has also said that Cyrus Mistry was allegedly leaking information to the media and that his conduct does not augur well for the smooth functioning of Tata Sons. The full order is yet to be made public, but most allegations made by Cyrus Mistry, like operational mismanagement or the oppression of minority shareholders, the tribunal has not found any merit in them. Joining us now to take this discussion forward is the lawyer for Cyrus Mistry, Somasekhar Sundaresan. Som, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. I'm looking at the statement you put out right after the judgment that you're disappointed, but you continue to have conviction and resolve to take this to its logical conclusion. But you also go on to say that you're not entirely surprised by the decision of the NCLT. Is this because of what the NCLT has previously done? The NCLT in its previous two orders, whether it was with maintainability or the waiver issue, has ruled against you.
There are multiple set of reasons why I was not surprised. First and foremost, these are binary matters. These are matters where you either agree or disagree. You can't have a halfway house. So if you agree on merits or you agree on the need for intervention, then you've got to go the whole hog and give the relief. If you think there is no ground for a grievance, then you have to go the other way and give no relief at all. So it's twice over this matter's come up, and as you say, in the past there's been occasion for a comment on merits, which of course got remanded. And therefore, it is tough to, it's human to not want to change the position that's been taken. But I must say the bench, very patient hearing, and it's gone through the merits. I'm keenly waiting to see the order.
Yes.
Usually when an order is pronounced, you also know how long the order is. We don't know that yet because what was pronounced was the decision.
Yes.
And the order is still being read and cleaned up, and so we should have the order mostly tomorrow. So I don't know, is this order of 100 pages, 500 pages, what depth of discussion's gone into each issue. My own speculation, and I don't really wish to speculate beyond a certain threshold, is that potentially the call being taken is that these are issues, they may be real issues, but these are not issues for purposes of Section 241, 242, which is a unique jurisdiction for intervention by the tribunal.
Okay.
So it's possible that the tribunal took that view that these are issues that you may agitate elsewhere, but not before us in this forum.
Okay.
So we'll have to wait and see the contents, and it's odd to have to speculate after a pronouncement.
Sure.
So let's just wait for the order, the more detailed, nuanced discussion.
No,
one will need to await.
I agree that we will be able to have a more nuanced discussion after we see the fine print of the order, which is expected to be put up tomorrow. But just on what we've heard at the NCLT today, and it's as I pointed out earlier, it's been a wholesale dismissal of the plea that you made before the NCLT on the issue of whether the board was acting as a dummy board, on the issue of whether people like Ratan Tata and Mr. Soonawala were acting as super directors. The NCLT has categorically stated that that's not the case, and they've dismissed the plea that you had filed before the NCLT. So given that, what will be the grounds for an appeal? The fact that you will appeal is a given, but what will be the grounds for the appeal given what we've seen the NCLT say today?
An appeal on merits is provided for to enable an appellate body to hear everything that the court below heard and try and get convinced that the ruling was erroneous. So the appeal would necessarily be on all aspects of what's been rejected in this round. On the specific issues you spoke about, one really has to, when I say there are two worldviews of what is good governance, one has to look at an institutional framework for governance and see whether that institutional framework is running its course as the law means it to, which means the integrity of decision taken within the four walls of a boardroom
Yes.
is to be kept sacrosanct from influences from outside the boardroom. That's the whole point in a fiduciary decision-making ruling that we speak about.
Sure.
The counter view is that yes, what you say is right, but someone who's been in that boardroom in the past need not hold any position, but is entitled to participate. And we will decide on the basis of how benign or how nice such person is to see whether that sort of involvement is acceptable. So these are, as I said, two worldviews. One could have a touchy-feely, clubby, soft governance approach.
Yeah.
The other could be an institutional approach to say, once as an institution, there is a statutory framework. Someone who's in the boardroom legitimately is a decision maker. Anyone who's out is not a decision maker, no matter who he is. So this will have to be thrashed out, and these are matters of merits. And we like to see what is the articulation of these issues on merits. As I said, potentially the articulation could have been that yes, there are some things, but these are not illegal and these are not within the scope of oppression mismanagement provisions.
Okay.
On the other hand, there could be a robust, thumping, issue by issue, aspect by aspect endorsement that every single measure that got done was fully legitimate, acceptable, and a precedent for all other corporate boards and their governance.
Well,
we'll have to see, but that, to my mind, is a matter of detail.
Fair point, but you know, as I said, we'll have to wait to see the fine print of the order.
That, to my mind, is a matter of detail. The key.
But the judgment today very categorically states that there is no merit in the allegations that you make, whether it's to do with Sivasankaran or AirAsia or the Nano project, that there is no merit in the allegation against Ratan Tata and Mr. Soonawala that they were acting as super directors. They have also rejected the plea for proportional representation on the board of Tata Sons. So on each of those accounts, there seems to...
Every judgment and every appeal against a judgment can be as categorical as the conviction the parties have in it. The categorical nature of a judgment does not erode the scope or merits of an appeal. Whether it's less categorical or more categorical, the appeal still lies, and an appeal court will look at it and see whether the wisdom applied was right. So whether something is categorical or not is quite irrelevant.
Okay.
I mean, one didn't expect a non-ruling either way. Any ruling in any judgment would be categorical in its terms, and the appeal would be categorical in its terms.
Okay, so since we're talking about the appeal, and I go back to your statement, you say matters like TTSL, AirAsia, the recovery of dues from Siva, the non-closure of a loss-making Nano, a struggling resolution of Tata Steel Europe, all present serious issues that will be pursued. Are you also now hoping that some of these matters, for instance, the Sivasankaran matter or the AirAsia matter, is now a matter under investigation by the CBI, FIRs have been filed? Are you also hoping that you will be able to take what could perhaps be seen as fresh evidence when you file your appeal?
No, I think, frankly, one should not think too much about the external noise of what's happening in investigations into banking fraud or a bribery allegation. Those are other courses of law that would run in its own course. The question really is, when you're governing an institution, how do you react to these things? How do you handle these things? If someone owes you 1,000 crores, do you chase it or do you not chase it? When other listed companies in your group have paid up their share, but an external person is refusing to pay his share, how do you react to it? These are questions of how you run and govern, whether someone else has probed him, whether some other banking fraud allegation is made, whether any other investigative agency is looking at it, those are different issues.
Okay.
The question really is, when you run an institution, are you running it in a manner that takes into account the interests, the best interests of all stakeholders? That's the issue here. So I don't want to really get distracted or digress by what the CBI is doing in one case or another case. The CBI may say something, things may stand or fall. The CBI may prove something, it may not prove something. Someone may disprove what the CBI says. That's a completely different matter. The real question is, what are we doing within our institution when something of a material nature is brought before us?
Okay.
That's the test, that's the question to ask when you look at mismanagement and oppression.
So I also want to talk to you about one of the crucial sort of issues that you raised at the NCLT, and that had to do with quashing of Article 75, which allowed the majority to restrict the transfer of shares by minority shareholders. Now, the NCLT has upheld Article 75 of the Articles of Association. I was speaking with Mr. Parasar and the Counsel for the Tatas a short while ago, and he said that the position of the Mistry camp is that he has no inclination to sell his stake at this point in time. Does that continue to be the case? Is there any room for flexibility there? I mean, what is it that you're hoping to do with that 18%?
It's very, very difficult to comment about 75 without seeing what exactly has been articulated in the order. I think it's a very piquant situation in this case where through 24 hours, people are going to be speculating about the outcome without the order, because the decision and the outcome is out, but the detail isn't.
Yes.
So I don't want to contribute to it and speculate about Article 75 in particular. But as far as one's stake in a company is concerned, if you are a 18% owner of a company, you expect a certain treatment, you expect a certain application of institutional approaches and a professional approach to decision making. It may by and large be available, but may not be available in material aspects. These are the areas where the skirmishes between the person who governs and the person who's being governed takes place in all political societies. I mean, you file a writ petition against a state. What are you doing? You're saying that the government isn't abiding by the law. You don't become an anti-national because you file a writ petition.
Sure.
So if you're a minority shareholder and if you feel there's majoritarianism and the majority is trampling over your rights, you're entitled to knock the doors and seek an intervention. One court at the threshold may feel the intervention is not warranted. The law permits an appeal. We'll go to that court and see what the appellate court says. This is exactly like what any society would do when there is a conflict between the majority and the minority.
How soon can we expect you to move the NCLT, Som? I mean, of course, you need to read the fine print, but, you know, how soon can we expect the appeal to be filed?
Well, there's a law which enables an appeal. The law has a period of time. We'll be well within that time.
So let me also ask you to comment on what the NCLT has said. And again, we don't have the fine print yet, but what the court has said is that Mr. Mistry's conduct did not augur well for the smooth functioning of Tata Sons, and that Mr. Mistry allegedly leaked information to the media as well. Now, in what context has this been said? The detailed order will give us more indications, but you know, our question to the Tata councils was also whether they would contemplate any legal recourse basis what we've heard in the NCLT today. Would you imagine that would be something to worry about?
I think it's very, very unfair even to the court to comment about what it may have thought about or what it may have said in leading to a statement in the outcome that was read out in court. I don't wish to actually speculate on what exactly the reasoning of the court was. I do wish to see the order on this aspect to examine whether there is a positive finding or there's a recording of a prima facie view that is canvassed by competing sides. One will need to see. As far as the petitioners are concerned, the petitioners are quite clear. These are shareholders. They are well within their rights. And some of this is noise about dealing with other aspects of law or, you know, leaking of information. These are allegations people make in litigation. Let's see what the actual finding of the court of first instance is. We will then have a view on whether we agree with it or don't agree with it.
Okay.
The outcome we know. What's led to the outcome we don't know, and I don't think it's fair to the judge for us to be speculating and commenting on hypotheses of what hypotheses he may have adopted.
Sure, and I caveated saying that we don't know what has led the court to say what it has said this afternoon. But let me end by asking you, Som, and we've seen the statement being put out by Tata Sons, where Mr. Chandrasekharan, the chairman, is saying that Tata Sons hope that a finality will be given to the judgment of the NCLT by all concerned in the larger interests of companies, the shareholders and the public. I mean, how long before we actually see a final conclusion as far as this matter is concerned? You appeal, this is probably going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. I mean, what are we talking about here, Som?
Well, this is something that you should expect in any litigation of any nature. A party which is won in the first instance would always hope the other party doesn't continue with an appeal. The party which loses in the first instance will always want to appeal, and if it feels wronged, feel more vehemently so. It's part of real life in any situation. Equally, one argument which will always be made in all institutional situations is don't rake things up too much, it will hurt the institution. One really needs to take a view on whether one is hurting the institution or helping the institution by seeking the intervention one seeks. At this stage of life, we believe the interventions we seek are in the best interests of Tata Sons. It's for better governance of Tata Sons. It's to save the interest of 18% ownership in Tata Sons that the caravan has come this far. And this is not about to stop suddenly. I mean, whichever side had won, the other side would have taken this forward and gone up. And these are statements one must make. They should be expected, and they are good statements to make. But an actual decision, one will need to see concrete action to get assuaged, not to move this further on.
Well, not to move this further on, what would you be looking for, Som, to perhaps get the caravan to stop where it is today?
Well, not for me to comment on that. These are
you certainly seem to have, an inkling of what it would take. So what would it take to get the caravan to stop here?
Well, the best thing for any ailment is the medicine. If the medicine is good, the ailment goes away. If you cure the ailment, you don't go to the hospital.
So what is the medicine that you're looking for? What is the remedy that you seek?
It's not in my place.
What is the remedy you seek?
It's not in my place as the lawyer to come up with what medicine would solve this particular ailment. If one hopes that one doesn't need to keep going to hospital, one must come up with medicine that demonstrably cures the ailment. I mean, this is not for us to deliberate on national television about. This is for commercial parties in their wisdom to engage and see how to be statesmen in their respective roles. Meanwhile, as things stand, this inexorable direction is headed in the way of an appeal.
Well, I think you've said a lot without saying too much, but Som, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. Thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Appreciate your time. Well, that is the counsel for Cyrus Mistry. It's time now for us to take a break, but on the other side, we'll be joined by VR Mehta of Sir Dorabji Tata Trust to discuss the NCLT verdict and the relief for the Tatas. Well, today the NCLT has ruled in favour of the Tatas, dismissing the petition filed by Cyrus Mistry. Joining us now to take us through the implications of that is VR Mehta of Sir Dorabji Tata Trust, also Arun Giri of Tax Sutra. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the CNBC TV 18 special. Mr. Mehta, let me start by asking you, sir, this is a vindication of the position held by the Tatas, specifically of Mr. Ratan Tata. In fact, he has put out a statement saying exactly that. Do you believe that this, in some sense, is going to give a degree of closure? Because the legal proceedings are not going to end here. It's very, very clear. The Mistry camp has made it evident that they intend to appeal against this. How long this appeals process will take, we don't know. The matter will probably head it to a higher court. But does this, in a sense, put to rest some of the acrimony that we've seen over the last 2 years?
Audio is gone. Hello? Audio is gone.
Mr. Mehta, I'll get back to Mr. Mehta in just a second, but let me go across to Arun. Arun,
okay.
You know, as I pointed out, this is... Can you hear me, Mr. Mehta?
Yes, I can hear you now. Okay.
Yeah, I was asking you, sir, in a sense, does this put an end to some degree of the acrimony, because the legal proceedings are expected to continue? How long, we don't know. So both sides are hoping for some degree of finality. Finality is not yet here, but some closure, at least on the acrimony?
I wish it was so.
Okay, why do you believe that that's not the case?
No, I wish it was so, but I'm not sure whether the other side feels that way. And as we already hear that they are looking at an appeal. So I can say only this, that I hope better sense prevails and they realize that the petition has been dismissed in toto, all the points that they made, and I suppose that should give them thought for thinking that is it worthwhile taking it forward. Yes.
You know, I was speaking with the Mistry Counsel, Somasekhar Sundaresan, and he said the categorical nature of the order doesn't erode the scope of an appeal, and obviously they intend to appeal. But I want to talk to you about what could be the way forward, Mr. Mehta, and I would imagine that there needs to be a coming together on both sides. Again, I go back to my conversation with Somasekhar Sundaresan, the lawyer for the Cyrus Mistry camp, and I'm quoting to you what he said. "It is not my place as a lawyer to come up with what medicine will solve this particular ailment. If one hopes that one doesn't need to keep going to the hospital, one must come up with a medicine that demonstrably cures the ailment. This is for the commercial part's wisdom to engage and see how to be statesmen in their respective roles." Do you believe that there is room now for some sort of reconciliation?
I suppose, you see, in every situation, there would always be room for some kind of rethinking. But as we have seen, the approach taken and the attitude displayed so far does not give me any significant hope in this direction. And in any case, I have no idea of what kind of solution they would expect in the given situation, where every point that they made has been sort of examined in detail by the NCLT, and they have come to this conclusion that there is no merit in those arguments. So what exactly are they asking? I would not know. You see, this is the problem.
Just in terms
that I would think,
yes,
I'm expressing this opinion as a personal view. As a personal view,
Sure.
I have no knowledge of what the Tata Sons are thinking, or whatever any other parties are thinking. But my personal view is that unless there is some reasonable kind of thing that they are thinking, I would not, I am not encouraged at this point of time that they are going on in that direction.
You're not encouraged.
Already they are talking of appeal.
Okay,
so, yeah.
So you don't feel encouraged about there being any kind of rapprochement, so to speak. But Mr. Mehta, you know, I go back to the conversation with the Mistry Counsel, and he very categorically stated that an 18% owner of a company expects a certain kind of treatment. While we await the fine print of the order on what exactly the NCLT has had to say on the matter of Article 75, what is the thinking at this point in time within the Tata Trust on whether you intend to, if Article 75 has been upheld, whether you intend to compulsorily buy the 18% stake that the Mistrys hold? What is the thinking at this point in time within the Tatas?
But I think one has to view the conduct of Mr. Mistry when he released some confidential information about companies, Tata Sons, as well as the operating companies, which could have, and it did have, some deleterious effect on the position of those companies post his removal from the board of Tata Sons chairmanship. So I think to argue on the basis of only 18% holding is not enough. It has to be on the basis of all the total circumstances of the case. This is my personal view.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I go back again
And
to,
I must also add
the remedies,
that
sir.
I must also add.
Yes.
I must also add that this Article 75, which they are talking of, this was last amended in 2014, as far as my information goes. And that was the time when Mr. Cyrus Mistry was in the saddle as chairman of the Tata Sons. So if he did not have any problem with this Article 75 at that time, what is the thing that has happened now where he feels that this article is not acceptable?
Okay. Before I let you go, Mr. Mehta, this is likely to be a protracted legal battle in the best interests of the Tata Group, and I understand that the new chairman wants to focus on business and to get on with life, so to speak, as opposed to the management's bandwidth being distracted by these events. What is the best way forward? What would be the remedy to ensure that this is in the past?
Well, as I said earlier, you see, I'm not a Tata person that way. I'm an independent director, and I would not know what, if at all, is the alternatives that they may be looking at this point of time. But as I said earlier, I'm not encouraged at this point of time, the way things have panned out so far and the approach that has been displayed by the petitioners.
All right, not encouraged. VR Mehta, always a pleasure. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Now, VR Mehta there of the Rabji Tata Trust. Let's go across now to our colleague Arun Giri, who was at the NCLT. Arun, this is not a done deal by any stretch of imagination. An appeal is going to be filed by the Mistry camp, as is very clear. But give me a sense of what you believe is the approach going to be from here on both sides.
Shereen, I think it's very important to see the state of play today. Advantage Tata Sons, yes, but in a 5-set match or if it's a World Cup semi-final, we are just at 1/4 of the way. NCLT is still there.
Yeah.
You may possibly look at an early hearing, and from NCLT, anyone who loses there will surely go to Supreme Court. Whether the Supreme Court grants an early hearing or not, no one knows. NCLT will be critical, no doubt about it. The state of play right now after today's decision, some 3 or 4 important points or interpretations, analysis of the verdict. Number one, the NCLT has affirmed the legality of the Articles of Association. Huge for Tata Sons. 2 articles were challenged, Article 121, Article 75, which you just referred to. Article 121 is the more important one, which is the affirmative vote power. Essentially, the Cyrus Mistry group alleged in the NCLT that this article was oppressive, that you needed to have the affirmative vote of the nominee directors of Tata Trust on Tata Sons before certain items could be voted on, before certain resolutions could be passed, and this they alleged was oppressive. This made the board of Tata Sons a mere dummy. This has been rejected. Number 2, I think if you look at the overall scheme of things, Shereen, the one thing that stands out very clearly is that the Mistry group is not going after just the articles, not just going after Tata Sons. It is essentially going after Tata Trust. They believe that the weak link in this entire chain is Tata Trust. And from day one, if you analyze, the Mistry group's actions, they are relentlessly attacking Tata Trust. Even where did the income tax notice go? It went to Tata Trust. Look at Air Asia. Again, there is a little bit of element of Tata Trust in it. So Tata Trust is where they are attacking. today's victory is a big relief for Tata Sons, because by affirming the legality of the Articles of Association, the attacks on Tata Trust, the Tata Sons would hope would subside. Because if by any chance the NCLT had dismissed the petition but had said that no, the governance structure needs to change. Remember that the structure is what is critical to Tata Sons, you know, or to Tata Trust. The fact that Tata Trust enjoys certain rights because it has 66% shares is important. Mr. Parasaran, the legal former Solicitor General who appeared for Tata Trust in the NCLT, he said specifically that the nature of this company is charitable. It is in essence a private company. It became a deemed public company later due to change in law. Number 3, I think the one point that has stood out and probably worked in the Tata's favor, we'll see it when tomorrow the judgment comes. But Abhishek Manu Singhvi, the senior advocate, kept on saying ad nauseum that this is an afterthought petition. What were Cyrus Mistry and his father doing on the board for 38 years? What were they doing before filing this petition? And I think that point somewhere would have resonated with the NCLT. Another point which Mr. Parasaran made in NCLT, that the veto power has never been used. The veto power which the Tata Trusts have has so far never been used. And therefore, this is merely a conjecture, a sort of anxiety which should not exist, because this has not been used so far. One more point. I think this is an opening which the Tata Sons has got today, or the Tata Trust has got today. Very clearly, NCLT not just dismissing the petition, but referring to Mr. Mistry's conduct. This quite honestly caught me by surprise. When I heard it, I wasn't sure I heard it right. I checked with my colleague, you know, and both Yash and another colleague said, no, this is right, this is what they said. NCLT referring to Mr. Mistry's conduct and actually justifying, the sacking or the removal of Mr. Mistry as the chairman of Tata Sons. I think this is very important, Shereen. Because if they are actually referring to his conduct and saying that it does not augur well for the smooth operations, the smooth conduct, the smooth operations of the Tata Group, I think in a way it reduces the vigor of the attack of Mr. Mistry. It clearly also now gives Tata Sons an excuse or a reason, if they needed one, to go after Mr. Mistry in terms of the damage that Mr. V.R. Mehta just referred to, that could have been done to certain companies, their stock prices. If we all recollect clearly that after some letters of Mr. Mistry came to the media, some of the stocks of Tata Group tanked. So I think overall, if you look at it, the one question that still remains unanswered: what is the end game? Both, you have the Tata Group people, you have Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Mr. Parasaran, all saying that this is time now to, to get this to an end. You need some finality. There needs to be closure. Mr. N. Chandra, I think, has said that in a statement today, that we need to bring this to a closure.
In his statement, he said that, yes.
End game? I've been thinking this since afternoon. I do not know what is the end game. What can the Tatas offer Mr. Mistry? And what really does Mr. Mistry want?
And what is Mr. Mistry looking for? That's the question which I was trying to... Yeah, that was the question that I was trying to get Som to answer and Mr. V.R. Mehta to answer as well. You're absolutely right about that. What is it that the Tatas are willing to put on the table, and what is it that Cyrus Mistry would find acceptable?
And Shereen, your 18% shares is not, Som just said, I heard it, that 18% shareholding is not less, that you need some respect as the 18% shareholder, no doubt about it. I think everyone accepts that. The question is, 18% shareholder, can he drive the company? The answer is no. 18% shareholder, does he get a majority on the board? The answer is no. Can he drive the group? The answer is no. If that is the case, then what exactly is Mr. Mistry going to gain? Even if, say, tomorrow the NCLT or the Supreme Court says, no, Shapurji Palunji group should have a representative on the board. Let's assume that happens. What does the group gain? I'm not sure. I think the end game is what really I think we need to figure out. A lot of complaints, I have been told, have been filed by the Mistry group at various fora. Now, if any thaw in relations has to happen, what happens to the fate of these complaints? And if you look at the rancor on both sides, I really don't think that an out-of-court settlement is possible. I think the Supreme Court will finally have to weigh in. The question is, what relief can an 18% shareholder get from the Supreme Court? That's the key here. Or will someone just say that I think that if you feel there is operation and mismanagement, you know, why don't we just give you honorable exit? Is that the final way out? We don't know because, you know, as we've heard since morning, Mr. Mistry probably is not keen that to sell his shares or to sell his stake, Shereen. But any thoughts that you have on what could be the end game?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up, Arun. Lots of questions that remain unanswered, and a protracted legal battle, at least at this point in time, looks fairly imminent. But Arun, as always, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18 to track this big story for us. It's time now for us to take a break, but on the other side, another CNBC TV 18 special.